I think if you asked the average Milwaukeean where First and Florida was, they'd have no idea. But in this very anonymous intersection, you had, from the late 1800s into the turn of the 20th century, you had a world-class flowering of innovation, enterprise, and energy that was absolutely comparable to what's going on in Germany earlier in the century or in Silicon Valley in the 20th. And it goes back to 1867 when Edward P. Ellis moved a bankrupt machine shop down there. And he took the machine shop not too far from the north end of downtown and floated that downstream the Milwaukee River and reestablished it on First and Florida, and that became the Reliance Works. And they made sawmill equipment, flour mill equipment, and in time some of the biggest steam engines in the entire world. And that was the germ of Walker's Point becoming the industrial incubator for Milwaukee. And that plant was the first step in what became Allis-Chalmers. And then you have kind of the succession of other enterprises. Just to the north of the Ellis Works, you have Henry Harnischfeger and his partner Alonzo Pauling begin with just a job shop. They're doing repair and kind of custom work, but they wanted to have their own product line, so they move into overhead cranes, and they become the world's largest manufacturer of overhead cranes. And when they were still doing job work, Henry and Alonzo had a couple of customers. One was Bruno Nordberg, and he had been a draftsman at Ellis, and Christopher LaValle, another tinkerer. And what became of those companies was obviously Nordberg Manufacturing became a world leader in marine diesels, mine hoists, rock crushers, and Christopher LaValle, what he was trying to do is replace this very dangerous leather belting with endless chains of metal links. So that's chain belt. And then you have a little bit later, but not too long, 1898, Kearney and Trecker get going, just a couple blocks north of First and Florida, and they become major machine tool manufacturers. And then you have ones that are still very much with us. Allen Bradley begins in 1902, now Rockwell Automation, and they begin about a block northwest of the Ellis Works. You've got A.O. Smith that begins with bicycle parts in Walker's Point. And 1902, they start to make automobile frames, and they become the world's largest manufacturer of automobile frames. And then the last one is 1905, and Herman Ladish, who was a German immigrant's son, he's running a malting company a little bit east, but he has problems with a crankshaft that kept on breaking. And he goes to essentially a blacksmith shop, and he forges him a crankshaft that worked just fine, and Herman Ladish is so intrigued he buys the company and names it for himself, and Ladish moves to Cudahy as the world's largest forger. So you've got 9 companies beginning within a 2-block radius of First and Florida, and at their peak those plants together employed tens of thousands of people, in every case developing market expertise, certainly kind of leading edge technologies that are the most important in the nation and in some cases in the world. In the case of Alice, they were the catalyst. No, they were the main catalyst for the development of this area as the incubator. So for instance, Nordberg worked as a draftsman in the Alice shops, and a man named Shaw developed the idea for the motorized crane that he took to Harnischfeger. And you had Allen Bradley, or was then just Line and Harry Bradley, brothers, testing one of their first controllers on a Harnischfeger crane in the Alice shop. So you have just this incredible concentration of not just ideas but interactions. So there was always somebody there who had a great idea and somebody else who could make that a reality. The larger question is why did you have so much brain power, so much enterprise in that very, very small section of Milwaukee? And I think that's something that is hard to answer definitively, but you see, first of all, the wind is at our backs in the late 1800s. This was where the ideas and the people, the young, the restless, the ambitious, this is where people were coming. This was kind of the manufacturing frontier. So you had a green field, basically, and people flocked here and they found each other. So then you have all these interactions taking place. But I think basically it was kind of the human spirit. I think it was people like Alice, who's kind of Exhibit A, the godfather of this entire movement, who they weren't plungers in the sense that they would just dive into anything. They took calculated risks, but they took risks. The formula has never changed. You need that concentration of capital, energy, manpower, woman power, and these things come together in different places and in different parts of the world. And the question is, can we do that today? Why can't we do that today? We did it once before. Why can't we assemble that kind of energy again?